Hello everyone. Thank you for watching Wasabi Aquarium channel. Today, I will be explaining the daily time schedule of a planted aquarium. This video will be helpful for those who are seriously starting a planted aquarium or for people who are considering adding CO2 to planted tanks. The time schedule of a planted aquarium is about the duration of lighting, as well as the best time periods for lighting throughout the day, and also the best time to add CO2 to tanks, and lastly, the length of the aeration. In this video, I will explain about the time sections throughout the day in this video. And for this time schedule, it is quite important. Many beginners often question whether the lighting should be on for 24 hours a day or about when to add CO2. For many beginners, when to turn off and on might be confusing. So, I will be explaining the basic points in detail. Time is very important for planted aquariums. Many beginners ask if there's no issue keeping the lighting on 24 hours a day. Keeping the lighting on for too long will cause an issue for the aquarium. It is very important to keep in mind that plants are alive, just like us, humans. We have to acknowledge the importance of creating a lifestyle for plants. If we, humans, were under bright lights for 24 hours straight, obviously it is not good for our health. The same goes for plants. Plants live under a proper rhythm where the sun rises and sets and the morning and night comes. So, we must create a similar environment even under artificial management. Creating a dynamic is quite important. So, how long should we keep the lighting on? This is a difficult point. The more you think about it, it gets harder to answer. For beginners, I suggest that you start at 7 hours a day. If we get into detail about this point, the content will be too advanced, which is not our aim for today. So, there's no problem just simply remembering to keep the lighting on for 7 hours a day. Starting off at 7 hours a day, depending on the growth pace of the plants, the type of plants, and the color of the plants, such as trying to make the plant red, there is a need to adjust the time schedule. Otherwise, please consider the 7 hours a day lighting time as the standard. And as for the 7 hours, what exact time during the day should we light it? Is there no issue keeping the lighting off for 4 hours and then lighting it again for 3 hours? Is it okay to turn the lighting off and on? These are some questions we frequently receive. As I explained in the introduction, creating a daily rhythm for the plants is important. So, it is important to set aside a solid 7 hours a day as well as fixing the 7 hours within the day. For instance, if the plant was lit for 7 hours in the morning on a day and lit for 7 hours during the night for another, the daily cycle will be broken. So, when we take 7 hours, keep in mind to set aside a single period of time throughout the day every day. Now, when is the best time for the 7 hours? Should the lighting be on during the morning as the sun moves? These are also frequently asked questions we receive from viewers. The best part about aquariums is watching them. Aquarium as a hobby is all about admiring and appreciating. Keep this in mind. Please think about your own daily schedule and keep the lighting on when you will most likely watch the aquarium. Many of our customers want to watch their plants from around 7 to 10 in the evening especially after getting off work and having supper. Many people take time before taking a bath, which is around 8 to 9 p.m., to watch their plants. If the aquarium is dark when you want to see it, it is practically meaningless. So what shall we do? Turning the light on at 8 to watch the plants at 8 is actually not so good. It is because when plants get used to the daily cycle, they will appear the most beautiful around 2 to 3 hours after they are lit. They don't appear beautifully right in the moment they are lit. The tip of the plants may be closed in, or the plants may be asleep since it recognizes the unlit time as nighttime. Considering everything, it is best to turn the lighting on 3 hours prior to when you wish to watch the plants. For example, if you wish to watch the plants at 8 in the evening, turn the lighting on at 5 p.m., which is 3 hours prior, and turn the lighting off at midnight at the end of 7 hours. I think this will be a good pattern to keep. If you wish to watch the plants at an earlier time, turn the lighting on at 4 in the afternoon and turn it off at 11 in the evening. This is also a good pattern. However, if your work schedules and such fluctuate, and if the lighting time moves, please definitely use a timer to control the lighting. In this way, it is possible to program the lighting to turn on and off at the same fixed time for 365 days a year. Please definitely use a timer. Next, I will be talking about CO2. When should we be adding CO2? Since the time period of the lighting is fixed, it is extremely simple. Align the CO2 supply with the lighting. When you turn the lighting on, supply the CO2. When you turn the lighting off, stop the CO2. This pattern is the best. It is because plants photosynthesize when they are lit, and they consume CO2 when so. If there is no CO2 when the plants are lit, it is meaningless. It is very important to interlock these two. Is there no problem to keep supplying CO2 for 24 hours straight? This is another question we frequently receive. In conclusion, this should not be done. Plants are the same as humans. When the lighting is turned off in dark, they need oxygen. Instead of consuming CO2, they emit CO2. It is necessary to recognize that they will switch from photosynthesis to breathing, and if CO2 is continually supplied, it will cause negative effects to the plants. In worst-case scenarios, the fission shrimp may suffocate due to lack of oxygen. So please keep in mind to turn the CO2 supply off along with turning the lights off. As with the lighting, some people may be able to manually control the setting, but to prevent forgetting to turn the CO2 supply both on and off, it is easier to use an auto program to interlock the supply setting with a timer and with the lighting. As for this, an electric valve and a timer will be necessary. Preparing the equipment is practically necessary. But once the setup is complete, you will be able to enjoy the aquarium then on. Maybe in the beginning, you may control the setting manually. But if you either start to forget or get lazy, then on, you can prepare an electric valve and a timer. Supplying carbon dioxide is extremely important for the growth of aquatic plants, so I hope you take these points into consideration. Next is about aeration. When should the aeration be supplied? Is there no problem supplying the aeration for 20 hours straight? These are frequently asked questions. If the aeration is on for 24 hours, the timing might overlap with the CO2 supplementation. Aeration is done to remove CO2. If money is spent on supplying CO2 and aeration to remove CO2 simultaneously, there is absolutely no meaning in supplying CO2. So it is important to turn off the aeration off while the CO2 supply is on. it is the best to create an environment where the aeration is turned on at all times while both the lighting and CO2 supply is turned off. Imagine it as reverse. When the aeration is on, the lighting and CO2 is off. When the aeration turns off, the lighting and CO2 supply starts. If these are done in reverse, the daily time schedule for the planted aquariums will be perfect. We often get asked if aeration is absolutely mandatory. Please consider aeration as a must. Of course, it is not impossible to manage without aeration, but the pros to adding aeration are huge. For more details, we have a separate video on aeration, so please watch the video from the link down in the description box below. If you are curious about the importance of aeration, I think you will have a good idea by watching the video linked down below. In this video, I described the daily time schedule of a planted aquarium. For more details about the equipment to manage the time schedule, I will put a link down in the description below of some of the equipment that I like that I've used so far, so I hope you check it out. As for the equipment, it is best to prepare a timer, an electric bulb, and an aeration pump. It is important to think in reverse. For the timer, there are ones where you can set 2 patterns with one device. If not, you will need 2 timers. I think it is easier to control a single device timer instead of having 2, so I will link down a timer where you can set 2 patterns in the description box. In this video, I am mainly focused on the plants, but controlling the lighting and differentiating between day and night will reduce the stress and cater to the health of fish and shrimp inside the aquarium as well. With that in mind, I hope you create a proper daily rhythm and enjoy your planted aquarium. If you have any questions about the details of the daily time schedule of a planted aquarium, please leave a comment down below. We won't be able to respond to each and every comment, but if there is a frequently asked question, we will create a new video on it. If this video was helpful, please subscribe to the Wasabi Aquarium channel. We will continue creating videos on basic tips for beginners and for those who are starting their aquariums, so I hope you keep watching our videos. We also feel very happy if you press the like button. This is it for the video. Thank you for watching.